too. These are the index spectra of sawdust, SDB 300 and 600 biochar samples. Here we can see the maximum peak was obtained for 20% of carbon under SDB 300 and SDB 600 compared to rest of the elements. Moving on to seed germination results. So after 10 days seed germination trial, we find out the seedling growth indices like percentage seed germination, CRG, etc. So the first parameter is the percentage seed germination. We got a maximum percentage seed germination under SDB 300 at 10 percentage trial. That was around 46.66%, whereas in control we got 33% only. In case of coercion rate of germination, it is the time taken by the seeds for germination. It was found very least for SDB 300 at 10% trial. That was around 2.17 only. While in the case of SDB 300 at 4% trial exhibit a maximum CRG value. These are the graphical representation. Next parameter is the average root and shoot length. We got a maximum average root length under the same trial, SDB 300 at 10% rate. That was around 5.47 centimeters. While in the case of shoot length, we got a better result under SDB 300 at 2% treatment. That was around 6.47 centimeters. So compared to control, we can say that each of the SDB 300 supplemented trials exhibit a better root and shoot length. Moving on to next parameter, average wet and dry weight of above ground and below ground biomass. We got a better results under SDB 300 at 10% trial compared to rest of the biochar supplements and the control. In case of seedling vigor index, we got a maximum vigor index value at 10% trial. That was around 426.47. That was almost double the value obtained under control. This is the PC byplot of seedling growth parameters. Here we can see that the percentage seed germination, seedling vigor index, average root length, wet weight of above ground and below ground biomass, dry weight of above ground biomass are positively correlated with each other, while they exhibit a negative correlation with the coefficient rate of germination. And each one of these parameters found to be maximum, or we got maximum results under 10% supplemented trial. So I'm moving on to the conclusion. So after pyrolyzing the sawdust biomass, we got two biochar samples, one with high carbon or high fixed carbon content, especially for the high temperature biochar, that was SDB 600. Whereas the maximum biochar yield was obtained at low temperature biochar, that was SDB 300. So this high carbon content in biochar can contribute to carbon sequestration in the cultivable soil. And also, it is a good soil supplement for neutralizing the acidic soils. At the same time, it can even improve the topsoil fertility. So, I also conclude that instead of open burning, if we are converting all the agricultural residues into biochar, it could be a sustainable solution for all the air pollution issues and in order to combat climate change problems and all in the northern parts of India. And after the 10-day seed germination trial, we found that SDB 300 at 10% application rate has facilitated the seedling growth parameters, especially percentage seed germination, seedling vigor index, coefficient rate of germination, etc. So in order to confirm these results further, a continuous long-term supplementation trial needs to be performed using selected application rates of biochar from different feedstocks. So that is one of the gap area of my study. So that's all about the work. So I extend my sincere gratitude for the funding of my research work. And thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anjali. That was very nicely presented and very, very nicely done piece of work. Do we have any questions from the audience? We have about 20 people attending this session. Anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, I am Professor Rajat Chakraborty. I'm co-chair of this
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you also. And good afternoon to everyone out here. My question is, how could you increase the carbon content in the biochar based on the operating condition of the pyrolysis process? In other words, how could you control the pyrolysis process to increase the carbon content in the biochar?
Sir, actually, carbon content is totally based on the pyrolysis condition, especially the temperature. Temperature contributes the carbon content in the pyrolysis samples. If we are taking a high temperature, if we are pyrolyzing the biomass at high temperature, we got maximum fixed carbon content in the biochar material. If we are selecting a low temperature, we got less carbon content compared to that particular temperature. So, if you are following
So
a
temperature was the only variable, or did you vary also the time of pyrolysis?
yeah, residence time also an important factor. Yeah, but in my study, I followed slow pyrolysis method. So I set the temperature. I set the charring test time around 1 hour, 16 minutes only. So I followed the slow pyrolysis temperature conditions.
Yeah, because if you change the time, time is another important factor. So if you change the time at a particular temperature, if you increase the time, possibly there will be more cracking. More cracking means more carbon content in the final product. Because time is a very important factor also. Both time and temperature are important factors. Okay. It was
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
non-catalytic or catalytic. Did you employ any catalyst for the pyrolysis process? Any catalyst was employed?
Hello,
Did
sir.
you use any Did you use any catalyst for
No,
pyrolysis
sir. No,
process?
sir. No, I'm not using any catalyst for the preparation.
Okay, it was just a thermal process. Okay, okay, that's all from my side.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very good question. Thank you, Professor
Thank
Chakraborty.
you. Thank you.
Anybody else has any question or comment? Oh yeah, please go ahead, Narayan Jogatappa sir. Please unmute yourself and ask your question or comment, please. Can you unmute yourself?
Biochar, what is the material you use?
Sawdust material, sawdust.
Sawdust. Is it
Yeah.
the biochar can be used for the as a nutrient for soil amendment?
Sometimes because based on the feedstock, the nutrient content may also get varied. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Thank you. Yeah.
maybe it may be one of these. You can add as a soil amendment. One of the nutrient rich maybe. The biochar may be carbon rich. No.
Yeah, it's a good source of carbon.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it can even retain the soil nutrients in the, its soil actually. If you're supplementing it with fertilizers, it will be good.
that's in
Okay.
a
Thank you.
smaller
Thank you so much,
dose.
Anjali ji.
Thank you, sir.
And very good presentation again. And good luck with your effort. The next presentation is Shruti Lingampalli, AB 37,
Yes,
corrosion innovation studies of low carbon steel using some selected plants in acidic and neutral mediums.
yes, sir.
Kindly introduce yourself and share your slides and go ahead with your
Yes,
presentation.
sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm El Shruti. I'm doing. Can I share the screen, sir?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Are you having any difficulties, Shruti, in sharing
No,
your?
sir. No, sir. It's
Okay,
coming.
no problem. Yeah, it's coming up now. Okay. And Mr. Jogatappa, you have your hands raised. Do you want to say something or just? Okay, no, just from the last question, I guess. Okay. We can see your screen. Yes, please go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sir. My presentation is on corrosion inhibition studies of low carbon steel using some selected plants in acidic and neutral mediums. I am doing research under Dr. Dilip Kumar Behra, Associate Professor of Chemical Engineering. Coming to the outline,
At
there have been.
IIT Kanpur?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yes.
He is from JNTA College of Engineering, Anantapur. He is right now working.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Coming to the introduction, as carbon steel is using nowadays in so many industries such as automobile industry and making in bolts and chains and machinery parts. But due to the corrosion, there are lots of problems were facing with the industries due to the corrosion. There are several types of corrosion such as in acidic nature and basic nature. uh, Main causes is from the atmosphere such as air, water, acids, alkalis, salts and mercury. This corrosion problem will lead to economic loss. Sometimes it may lead to loss of lives, and also it will be a huge problem to the environmental pollution. So, to overcome the corrosion, there are several types of inhibitors. So with this corrosion inhibitor, there are two types: inorganic inhibitors and organic inhibitors. Inorganic inhibitors are polluted to the environment. So, I am using organic inhibitors in the mixed type, such as in the process of adsorption. Uh, I can overcome this corrosion problem. There are several eco-friendly corrosion inhibitors. Organic green corrosion inhibitors in the form of ionic liquids, biopolymers, surfactants, amino acids, drugs, plants, and extracts. I am using the plant as extracts to overcome the corrosion. I am taking these four as the inhibitors, such as Muria koenig, Tagetes erecta, black pepper, and Hibiscus rosa sinensis lin. Why these four means these inhibitors is having the carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, which are present in the plant extracts. It will act as main corrosion inhibitors. Coming to the hypothesis of these, uh, this point is that as the vacant orbitals which is present on the carbon steel will is the main reason to form the corrosion. So, in order to fill the vacant d orbitals which is having the plant extracts, the components such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur components which is present in the plant inhibitors, we can fill these vacant d orbitals so that one film is formed on the surface, the reduction of corrosion will occur. The main objective is this: to inhibit the corrosion of carbon steel by different extract. To determine the inhibition efficiency and corrosion rate of different extracts is calculated, and the scanning electron microscope studies. This is the methodology. First, the Moraya Koyangi leaves is to be dried at room temperature, and it is turned into the powder. 30 grams of that Moraya Koyangi leaves powder is to be soaked for about 3 hours in distilled water. Again, so that uh, with that extract we can divide it into different concentrations. Again, the specimen is to be mixed with the corrosion corrosion implement such as HCl or H2SO4. We can increases the concentration of the different MKL extracts. Again, the film which is formed, you can see the film formation of the green color which is present on the carbon steel, so that we can avoid the corrosion. Coming to the scanning electron microscope results, there are two pictures such as A and B. The same images of A indicates that carbon steel dipped in acidic medium such as HCl, and the second image represents the carbon steel along with the corrosion medium and Muria Koyangi leaf extracts. These pictures said that by the same image A reveals that in the absence of plant extract, we can see this carbon steel surface is highly damaged with the cracked areas. The shape is typical to cracked corrosion. Image B, which is having the Muria Koyangi leaf extract, shows a smooth surface with deposited extract on it for the specimen. After immersion in 1 mHCl solution containing Muria Koyangi leaf extract, the best concentration of the corrosion inhibitor. Coming to the weight loss studies, uh, first graph represents first and second represents the corrosion rate in the presence of HCl and the corrosion rate in the presence of NaCl. Both represents the as the inhibitor concentration increases, the corrosion rate decreases, as well as the inhibition efficiency in both the HCl uh, as the concentration in of the inhibitor increases, as well as the inhibition efficiency also increases. We can clearly observe that the corrosion rate decreases in both the things. Coming to the adsorption isotherms, the Langmuir adsorption isotherm for both for the uh, four inhibitors in the presence of NaCl and the HCl, it correctly fits to the right value of the Langmuir adsorption isotherm. These are the values of the adsorption isotherms and the Gibbs energy in the presence of Morea koyangi leaves, Hibiscus rosa senescens, and the black pepper and Tagaset erecta. The value of the Gibbs adsorption is minus 40 kilojoules per mole or more negative. Then the coordinate bond type metallic bond is formed between the organic species present in the inhibitor and therefore the metal surface. This bond is formed as a result of chemisorption wherever charge sharing or charge transfer happens from organic species to metal surface. If the value of delta Z adsorption is around minus 20 kilojoule per or less negative, then physisorption happens as a result of electrostatic attraction between inhibitor and therefore the charged metal surface. As I got the values below minus 20 kilojoule full, so it can be act as a physisorption. Coming to the polarization curves, these are the cathodic and anodic polarization curves of Morea koyangi leaves, which is present in the HCl acid. Is the polarization curves also clearly indicates that as the concentration level increases, as the inhibitor concentration increases, the corrosion rate decreases. The Teffel curves indicates reductions in the current densities of the anodic and cathodic branches in the presence of Morea koyangi leaves extract. Morea koyangi leaves extract act as the mixed type of inhibitor. Coming to the conclusions, corrosion inhibition studies of low carbon steel using different plant inhibitors such as Hibiscus ronaceneslin and Morea koyangi leaves, Tagaster recta and black pepper in acidic and neutral medium. Some analysis of Morea koyangi leaf extracts confirms the formation of film on the surface. Finally, the weight loss studies confirm the prominent role of inhibitors in decreasing corrosion rate as well as increasing the inhibition efficiency with increasing concentration of the inhibitor.
Excellent. Thank you for keeping to the time. That's very
Thank you, sir.
interesting study and some very, very interesting results. Actually,
Thank
I
you.
think I noticed the corrosion inhibition is extremely effective. The corrosion rate goes down almost to zero.
Yeah,
So
yes, sir.
it's
Yes.
something that should really be further investigated. But is there any questions or comments from others in the audience, please? Please raise your hand or just unmute and ask your question.
Okay, so
Yes.
my question is,
Please.
what kind of corrosion is being prevented by this kind of coating or this kind of corrosion inhibitor? There are so
Sir,
many
it's
kinds of corrosion.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Film
It's cracked
corrosion,
corrosion, sir. Cracked corrosion, sir. In the SEM analysis, I'll show clearly, sir. It's cracked corrosion.
Okay, that is one thing. And second thing is that what is actually the life cycle? Life cycle means if you coat with that particular inhibitor, what would be the duration over which you can prevent the corrosion? Have you
What,
studied
sir?
that part? I mean,
Yes.
the life cycle or the
Uh,
lifespan of the coating that you are creating to prevent corrosion.
yes.
What
Yes,
is
yes,
the
sir.
duration for which you can prevent the corrosion?
Sir, the 3 hours, sir.
No, coating.
No.
Once you have coated,
No,
you have coated means you have impregnated the organic material onto the metal surface for the purpose of
No, I'm
inhibition.
not coating, sir. I just add the inhibitor to the corrosion medium. Along with the specimen, I just add the inhibitor to the corrosion medium, sir, either HCl or H2SO4.
Okay. So ultimately, this will
I'm
be.
not directly
So,
applying coating here, sir.
yeah, I understand that,
I'm
but after the medium is enriched with the corrosion inhibitor, okay. So
yes,
then the
yes.
metal is exposed to that medium. Metal is exposed to that medium. So my point is that after adding this inhibitor into the medium, what is the end result? What is the effect of that? Did you study that?
No, sir, I'm studying, sir. I'm in the starting stage of the research. I'm studying further.
Yeah, what
Because
Professor
that would be the
Chakravarti is
ultimate.
suggesting, yeah, that you should study the long-term effects and how long the effect actually lasts in protecting the steel from corrosion. Yeah, that's what Professor Chakravarti is suggesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because ultimately it will be the application part, application of a
correct.
particular inhibitor and how it
Yes,
is
yes,
effective.
yes, sir, yes,
So
sir.
that part should be studied in detail.
Yes,
Sure.
sir, yes,
And
sir. I will
it
do,
would be an
sir.
interesting study, in fact.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
But however, this is a very good work.
Yeah,
If it gives like what Professor Chakravarti was saying, if it has a life cycle, strengthened life cycle and cost-effective one, then it will be very much helpful, and this will have a practical implication. And I don't know whether you have applied for the patent or not. So I suggest to have a patent immediately for protection of your study. I mean
Yes,
the
sir,
research.
definitely, sir.
And
Definitely, sir.
after
Thank
the
you so much.
afterwards you can do that. So that will be a good one.
yeah,
Okay.
very good suggestion,
Yes, sir.
Professor Ghosh. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
Shruti.
Thank you, sir.
Unless anybody else has any comment or question, we'll move on to the next speaker. And I'm not sure if the next speaker is with us or not. Let me check once again in case he joined us late. So is Nidhi Sukla with us? I don't think so. She didn't present herself in the chat. So following that is Professor Gers and is Professor Naumann from Germany, AB54. Any of them here for presenting? If not, we go to the next one. Vicky Shettigondahali, Ekanathulu, Nara, Antwi, and Nellis, Germany. Is any of them here to present? This is, yeah. Then the next paper is Subir Ray, Amit Majumdar, AB92 Recycling of Used Tea Leaves.
Professor Dhanada,
Yeah,
what I suggest that whoever are there for
yeah, we can go with
presentations,
that.
please write your name
Yeah,
so that Professor Dhanada and Chakraborty can go by that one by one.
yeah, I have 5 names that I know are here, but I'm just checking the others in case they have joined us late. So the next name who is here I know is Simimol Ansera,
Great.
right? Yeah, Simimol Ansera would be the next presenter.
Yes, sir, I'm present.
All right, let's see.
Yes, sir.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Please go ahead and share your slides. Introduce yourself briefly and start your presentation. And after Simimol, we'll have Jury Chaitya.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, we can see your slides. Please go ahead.
I am Simimol A.S., research scholar in Central Coir Research Institute under the guidance of Anita Devendranath, and my research topic is processing of natural lignocellulosic coir fibers for enhancing fire retardancy using banana pseudostem sap. Coir is a multicellular biopolymer in which crystalline cellulose is arranged helically in a matrix consisting of non-crystalline lignocellulosic complex. It contains lignin, cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. Thus, being a lignocellulosic material, it catches fire and propagates promptly. Major objectives of my work include to develop a new formulation to improve fire retardancy of coir, which is free of halogenated, phosphohalogenated, and lack of heavy metals containing halogens, and to optimize the reaction parameters, improving fire retardancy in coir fiber using comparatively eco-friendly formulations, and to improve the fundamental properties of coir fiber, such as physical and mechanical properties by different surface modifications, and study the performance of treated coir fibers along with control and to check all the quality parameters such as tensile properties, flexure rigidity, moisture content, density, and fire retardancy in coir fibers. This is the overview of my research work. First step is fiber purification, and then pre-treatments, and then fire retardant treatments. For fiber purification, billowing is done. Billowing is to remove unwanted materials such as pit and sand in the coir, and then combing, and then the fiber undergo mercerization using sodium hydroxide. Then the mercerized fiber undergo molding using tannic acid and alum. Then fire retardant treatment using banana pseudostem sap. Banana pseudostem is a waste material from agricultural industry. After harvesting, banana pseudostem as such is a waste product, and it is available abundantly all over India. It is fully eco-friendly material. Banana pseudostem is crushed into pieces. Then the sap was obtained using a grinder, and banana pseudostem sap is my first fire retardant liquor, and then it is fermented to obtain bio-enriched BPS, and it is the second fire retardant liquor. For the pre-treatments, mercerization and modeling are the pre-treatments for coir fiber. In mercerization, sodium hydroxide of 5%, 10%, 15, and 20% is used. In material liquor ratio is 1:24, and a soaking method is used for mercerization and for molding. After pre-treatment, one portion of the fiber undergo needle punched to obtain a sheet of needle felt for easy conduction of flammability test. Spray technique is used for needle felt to obtain as fire retardant. In fire retardant treatment, neutral BPS is BPS is treated into bio-enriched using cow dung, cow urine, neem leaves, and it is fermented using jaggery. Cow dung, methanogen, a nitrogen fixing bacteria methanogen is present in cow dung. For bio-enrichment, that nitrogen content is increases, and it is used for fire retardant. For fiber treatment, pre-mordant fibers is immersed and soaked into hot liquor for half an hour with occasional stirring. The material liquor ratio is 1:24. It is at temperature 55 to 60 degrees Celsius. And for needle felt treatment, hot extract is sprayed into pre-mordant needle felt, then air dried. The sample is kept in hot air oven at set temperature 100 degrees Celsius before testing. For characterization, physical and mechanical properties such as tensile property, water absorption, density, and flexure rigidity is evaluated. And for flammability evaluation, horizontal flammability, vertical flammability, limiting oxygen index, and tablet test is evaluated used on suitable standards. And for chemical characterization, AAS analysis, NPK analysis for BPS powder and bio-enriched fire retardant liquor, and nitrogen content analysis and semidax analysis. In horizontal flammability test, needle felt of size 356 into 102 into 30 millimeters sample is placed in flammability tester, and the sample is ignited for 50 seconds. And burning rate is calculated, and from this result, burning rate is decreased, and that percentage is 35%. Untreated sample get 29.45, whereas bio-enriched BPS, that burning rate is decreased, and it will be getting 10.5. Like that. Limiting oxygen index is increased for treating, and it is increased 21 in that percentage is 21 for untreated sample, and for treated sample it is 28. And in vertical flammability test, flames spread time is decreased while treating, and like char length also, control fiber, untreated fiber get 10 centimeter, whereas bioenriched treated sample get 2 centimeter. Like that, smoke properties, instead of dark smoke, FR treated bioenriched treated sample is very less or no smoke. Okay. In camphor test, tablet test, compared to control fiber, bioenriched sample, length of the damage zone is 2.5 centimeter. Chemical characterization, in PK analysis of BPS powder and bioenriched BPS, nitrogen content is increased by untreated sample get 0.56 percentage, whereas nitrogen content of treated bio BPS get 2 percentage. That increase in nitrogen percentage imparting fire retardancy in our sample. Semidax analysis, compared to control fiber, bio-treated fiber, BPS treated and bio-treated fiber, that sample, inorganic treated sample is in our BPS is present in our and in the result, Semidax result, quantification of elements, control sample get carbon, oxygen, and silicon, whereas BPS treated fiber and bioenriched BPS treated fiber get chlorine, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, aluminum, sodium, and potassium. So that inorganic and chlorinated sample imparting fire retardancy in our resulted fiber. Flexure rigidity and tensile strength, that results flexure rigidity of untreated sample, for treatment, that flexure rigidity is decreased the value, hence that fiber is become soft and strong. Like that, tensile strength that depending on control sample, bioenriched samples, BPS and bioenriched BPS treated sample, that strength value is also increases. In water absorption, and like for this treatment, the hydrophilic nature decreases and the water become hydrophobic. Bioenriched treatment gets the water hydrophobic. Next, I conclude. BPS and bioenriched formulation diminish the spread of fire and delay of combustion process. Hence, bioenriched mixture of BPS imparts self-extinguishing ability to coir fiber. Flame retardancy is achieved using eco-friendly treatments with BPS and its biomixture without any degradation in physical properties of coir fiber, whereas it enhances tensile strength, flexure rigidity, and increases hydrophobic nature of coir fiber. Flame retardance of BPS treated coir fiber is attributed to the presence of nitrogen, phosphorus, inorganic metal salts, and metal oxides, which are present in fire retardant liquor. Thus, the method developed is an opening for application of coir fiber into new areas with minimum cost effect. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Simimol, for that nice presentation. Professor Chakravarti, you would have some question, or?
Yeah, actually, yeah, one question.
Sure.
The question is actually, did the researchers compare their results with any other similar biomaterial, like you have used banana material, and did you compare your results with any other literature for comparing the improvement, I mean, advancement or improvement that you have achieved? Have you compared your results?
Yes, sir. I compare my results with control, untreated sample, untreated coir sample.
Let me ask it another way. How did you get this idea of using the banana extract, banana plant extract as a fire retardant? for coir fiber?
Cotton fiber is a cellulosic fiber, sir.
Yeah.
The banana stem extract is used for cotton fiber to become it fire retardant. Like that, my
Okay.
sample is lignocellulosic fiber.
Okay. So some literature existed
Yes, sir.
before for
Sir,
cotton
yes, sir.
fiber, which you applied for coir fiber.
That
Okay.
was also my question, that whether there is any similar natural fiber was used previously.
Correct. Very good piece of work. Any other question or comment from anybody else?
It's not a question, but again, I'm telling that that the Indian researchers are very lazy in applying for patent.
Yeah.
And if you do a very good work, then you will find sometime that somebody has a patent on the same, which has been done in, in continuation from your work. So I suggest, and it's my advice, ask your professor or yourself, protect your work through a application of patent.
Okay,
This
sir.
is the central laboratory of coir research, right? So they must be pretty proactive.
They must have it, but sometimes you have to take a proactive action.
Sure.
So
Okay,
you
sir.
must do it. These are all very good work. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Excellent
you, sir.
suggestion. So with that, may we move to the next paper, which is authored by Professor Ghosh himself and Abhishek Kumar, who presented. So
Yes, sir, I am here.
Yeah. So kindly go ahead,
Okay.
share your screen, introduce yourself, and go ahead with the presentation. The topic is natural fiber reinforced composite using woven fiber material, a potential business model. Yeah, we can see your slides. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I am Abhishek Kumar. Today I am going to present my paper on natural fiber reinforced composite using woven fiber material, a potential business model. I am the PG student in Jadavpur University in Automobile Engineering. These are the contents of my paper: introduction, overview of composite, properties of composite material, classification, advantage of fiber composite, flow chart, material and methodology, sample, and results of lectural and impact test, and conclusion. Introduction. Recently, due to heavy effect, due to low density, high mechanical strength, biodegradability, cheaper, and due to environmental friendly, composite material are in attraction, very much attraction in researcher. That's why in this paper we try to make a composite material using woven fiber material, and make a comparison of mechanical property like flexure strength and impact strength with existing fiber like glass fiber and wooden fiber. We reinforced it with silk, cotton, and linen sari in epoxy resin, so that we can use it as a replacement of in automobile industry and construction industry where you use as a glass fiber and wooden fiber. Overview of composite fiber. As due to throughout history, mankind uses to to achieve combination of property of a material, though that is not possible with one material. So the composite made in possible, and so that for example, concrete is a composite of a cement paste, gravel, and concrete, and also some other example of composite are glass fiber reinforced composite used as a sports material, furniture, and also. So in this figure we can see that as a use of a composite material in various fields, in automotive industry and construction industry, it is very high. So we can use we can use by we can use our study to help to reduce the production of use of conventional composite and replace it with natural fiber reinforced composite. So the property of composite material. These are the property: strength, stiffness, corrosion resistance, wear resistance, biodegradability, attractiveness, weight, fatigue life. All are the properties of composite material, and we in one go we cannot achieve all the properties simultaneously, but most of them uh, we can we can improve by composite. We can achieve by composite material. Classification as composite material, there are at least two material are there in composite material. One is matrix material, one is binder material, also called matrix material, and another is reinforcement material. So the composite material based on reinforcement, we can classify it as a fiber reinforced, plastic reinforced, sheet molded, and based on matrix material, matrix material, polymer matrix composite, ceramic matrix composite, metal matrix composite. Advantage of fiber composite material, as we can achieve high performance for a given weight to lead the fuel savings. As the composite material is in lightweight, so we can save our fuel by using composite material. Excellent strength to weight ratio and stiffness to weight ratio can achieve by composite material. Also, we can production cost is very less for composite material, as we can use various method to produce composite material. For example, hand layup method, method. These are the flow chart of the study. Selection of resin. In this, for selection of resin, we can we can we can take some few points for selection. It should be low thermal coefficient, and it should be resistance to chemical property, and also moisture less moisture content, and preparation of fiber. For preparation of fiber, it should be compatible to matrix, and thermally compatible, and chemically compatible to the matrix material. Measurement of property like strength, corrosion, and fatigue life, all in measurement of the property. Development of composite and pure material, and testing. After that, characterization of the composite material. These are the materials and methodology. Materials: epoxy resin and Lapox B11. Lapox B11 we is a unmodified resin, and we can use as a it is as a good material, good for the reinforcement. And epoxy hardener, and Lapox case is as a light yellow polyvinyl polyamide, which can act as a very good hardener for the resin. And silk lining cotton we use as a reinforcement. And mylar sheet, the thickness of the mylar sheet is 0.5 mm. And the methodology, we in this method we in this study we use 10 is to 100 is to 10% weight of epoxy resin and hardener solution, and apply a layer of resin on the mylar sheet. And after that, applying the solution, we kept thermally reinforcement, and like reinforcement for like silk linen and cotton. Again, we apply a layer of resin on the resin solution on the reinforcement material as another layer, and after that we kept mylar sheet on that.
Abhishek, please move on to the
Material is
work
kept
and the results. Yeah. Keep an eye on the time. Yeah.
Yes,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
These are the product. These are the my product sample which I made. These are the cotton 2-layer, silk 2-layer, and silk 3-layer, and linen weave made product. And result of the flexural test. In result, we use a universal testing machine for flexural test, in and the standard followed is ASTM D790, and formula used for the flexural test is CPL by 2BD square, where P is the peak load and L is the length between the span. We use a 3-point bending test, and the environmental condition for the testing is humidity 50% and the temperature of 18 degree, and the test rate is 2.1%, 2.1 mm per minute. These are the result of the flexural test, where we can see that there are the improvement in the strength of the Y 2-layer, from 2-layer 3-layer it is improved of strength, and from the resin, pure resin, we can see that the strength of the reinforcement composite is more. Result of impact test. In impact test, we used Azure impact testing machine, in which we first we notch, made a notch on sample by using a specimen notcher, and the standard follow is ASTM D790. For the impact testing, we use a formula impact energy per unit joule and thickness of the specimen. For impact testing, we can see that the pure resin material composite, the energy is much lesser than reinforcement 3-layer and cotton and linen material. Yes, and these are the conclusion. In conclusion, natural fiber have been successfully made, and by reinforcing it with epoxy resin, by using simple hand layup method, and the fiber, the new hybrid composite produced with a natural fiber reinforced matrix is a good mechanical property as compared with the pure matrix material. These are some references where we might take some inputs. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Those samples look very beautiful, aesthetically very pleasing, and the results are also very encouraging. The flexural strengths you reported look very, very encouraging. So great work. Thank you for presenting it. Any questions from anybody in the audience or comments? So I presume you basically use this as a method of disposing of, or a very good use of used garment in a way, right? Used clothes.
Used sari of
saris and stuff like that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's excellent work. Did you face any problem in the penetrability of the fabric? Because fabric, of course, vary greatly in terms of their weave pattern and so on. So when you apply epoxy, does it penetrate uniformly and easily in all manners of fabric?
Yes, sir. Before we applying reinforcement, first we prepare fiber by using some washing and ironing on that. Then there is no problem in penetration.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see how different kinds of fabric tend in this aspect of because that will affect your fabrication and manufacturing. Anyhow, so wonderful work. Thank you very much. Unless there are other questions,
thank you.
We'll go to the next speaker, Jury Chetia. Jury, I'm saying your name right? If you're there, kindly share your slides and introduce yourself and go ahead with your presentation.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
sir?
we can. Yes, we can hear you. You may share your presentation, introduce yourself, and go ahead and
Yes, sir.
present your work.
A very good evening to one and all present here in this meeting. I am Juri Satya. I am a research scholar from Tezpur University. I am doing PhD under Dr. Nirmali Gogoi. She is an assistant professor in Department of Environmental Science, Tezpur University.
Right. Do you have slides to share or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead. Okay.
Sir.
Yes, we can see your slides. Go ahead.
Okay. Today, I would like to present one of my research topic, that is an approach to assess the physicochemical properties of biochars produced conventionally from tea pruning litters and mixed with chips. What is biochar? As Ms. Anjali Babu said, biochar is a pyrolytic product of biomass which has wide application in environmental and agricultural management. Biochar has been demonstrated as an effective soil amendment to improve soil carbon storage, enhance soil properties, crop growth, and productivity. Crop waste are not properly recycled organic resources. So, to convert those crop waste to biochar, a cheap traditional method for biochar production is needed to utilize the benefits of biochars. Several traditional biochar production approaches were replaced by modern method in course of evolution of pyrolytic techniques. But the cheap conventional method of biochar production and its efficiency is crucial for popularization of biochar technology. Biochar quality is generally dependent on these things, that is the type of feedstock, production temperature, production technique, elemental content including habit, moisture content of the feedstock, hardness, etc. Hardwood generally produces higher amount of biochar. Better fixed current surface area in biochar can be seen when produced in higher temperatures. And higher elemental concentration in feedstock leads to higher elemental concentrations in biochars. Similarly, moisture content in feedstock needs longer time for production. That is, the moisture content actually inhibits the formation of char. Thus, to harness the benefits of biochar as soil amendment, it is necessary to screen the feedstock, and the selection of proper production technology of biochar before soil application is necessary. Material, and coming to the materials and method, we have taken two type of feedstock, that is tea pruning litters. We have selected these tea pruning litters as our feedstock because its availability in abundance in Assam, because Assam is full of tea gardens. The mixed wood chips biochars were collected from a sawmill and discarded wood timber boxes, and we have collected the tea pruning litter from Dhekiajuli Tea Estate, Assam. Production techniques adopted are conventional biochar production using clean to compare the biochar produced conventionally, we have also made the biochar using pyrolyzer and gasifier, and this is how we have made the produced biochars. This is, as you can see, this is the conventional biochar production unit, this is a pyrolyzer, and this is a gasifier. Parameters considered for feedstock and biochar characterizations are biochar yield, temperature, ultimate analysis, proximate analysis, water holding capacity, biochar surface area, pore size and structures, calorific value of the biochar, recalcitrant potential of the biochar, methylene blue absorption of the biochar, carbon sequestration potential, aromatic and aliphatic functional groups, pH, EC, cation exchange capacity, acidity and alkalinity, biochar absorption mechanism, macro and micronutrients, heavy metals, hydrogen carbon and oxygen carbon ratio. Coming to the results and discussion, we have reached in conventional biochar production technique, the highest temperature reached is 350 degrees Celsius, and in gasification and pyrolysis method, the highest temperature was 650 degrees Celsius. Yield was found to be highest in conventional method, and moisture content and the fixed carbon was found to be highest in pyrolysis method. Likewise, the labile carbon was found to be highest in conventional method, that is mixed with chips, and total carbon was found to be highest in mixed wood pyrolysis method of biochar, and carbon nitrogen ratio was found to be highest in mixed wood gasified biochar. Hello, am I audible, sir? And the hydrogen carbon
Yes,
ratio
please
was,
continue. And yeah.
and the hydrogen carbon ratio was found to be highest in mixed wood pyrolysis biochar. pH in EC was found to be highest in pyrolysis method of biochar, and the highest alkalinity of biochar was found in, again, pyrolysis method of biochar production, and surface area water holding capacity was also found in mixed wood pyrolysis method of biochar. The highest absorption was found in gasification method, that is tea pruning gasified biochar. Calorific value was found to be highest in mixed wood pyrolysis method, and the recalcitrance potential was found to be highest in mixed wood pyrolysis method. And lastly, the carbon sequestration potential was found to be highest in tea pruning pyrolysis biochar. Here, as the literature says, as our literature and our result says, the reduction in AC and OC ratios in gasified and pyrolysis method of biochar compared to conventional method of biochars shows rise in aromaticity and water holding capacity in those biochars. That means in the aromaticity is found to be highest in pyrolysis and gasified biochars compared to biochars. Documented oxygen carbon ratio was less than 0.2%. That displays the half-life of the biochars, which is around 1,000 years. It has been demonstrated that a biochar having higher CN ratio has good nutrient retaining capacity and releases nutrient gradually, enhancing plant growth. Better methylene blue absorption in gasification and pyrolysis based biochars may be due to the higher production temperature. Documented negative correlation between hydrogen carbon and oxygen carbon ratios with calorific value of the studied biochars confirms that calorific value of the biochars increases with increase in aromaticity. Comparing the feedstocks, mixed wood chips documented higher fixed carbon surface area, recalcitrance potential, water holding capacity, calorific value, while T-liter documented higher elemental concentrations.
Okay.
These are some of the images of biochars obtained from scanning electron microscope. As you can see, pore structures got destroyed in the conventional method, and hence the surface area got decreased. The utmost destruction of pore structures were seen in biochars that mix with biochars. Studied biochars can be categorized as most weak. The study displayed that the production method, that is temperature and feedstock, has significant impact on physicochemical characteristics of biochars. The biochars produced has proved to improve the fertility of pore nutrient content. T-liter proved itself is a suitable feedstock for biochar production. Its application as soil amendment would likely to increase essential soil micronutrient and fixed carbon concentration. Conventional method proved to be best in case of conversion of feedstock to biochar with higher carbon sequestration potential and plant micronutrient. Farmers are heavily encouraged to recycle crop waste into biochar using conventional technique.
Okay. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I wish you'd put less text in your slides and not read them. That's an elemental, error in presenting your study. Very good work. I'm sure you'll learn how to better present the work in due course from these experiences. But thank you for your work and presentation. Any questions from the audience, please?
Yeah, is this work already published or presented somewhere else? or just the first time presentation in this?
No, sir, it's not published yet.
Okay. The thing is that the work is very good. Have you compared your results with similar results? Because you have used a raw material which is actually a waste material. So did you
Yes.
compare any other literature so that you can find out what is the advantage of your work? I mean, benefits
sir.
of your work.
Yes, sir. I have compared this thing with like the pyrolysis method of biochar production and gasified method of biochar production. The biochar produced conventionally, I have compared those biochar with gasified and pyrolyzed biochar, pyrolyzed feedstock actually.
Pyrolyzed biochar from the same material or
Yes,
from
sir.
different-
Same material.
So
The
using this
feedstock are same. Sir, I
using
have
the
used
same
two.
feedstock, my
Yes, sir.
question is, using the same feedstock,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
did you find any other literature with which you can compare your results?
Sir, I can find I can find literature on mix with chips, but tea pudding litter biochar, it is like we have made this biochar by our own. I cannot find any literature on tea pudding litter.
Okay. So did you make any material balance for the overall process? That means how much is your feedstock and how much biochar is being produced? Because
Sir,
nowadays we are talking about life cycle assessment.
Yes, sir.
To make a material balance and the waste generated from the process itself, or the the chemicals used, overall material balance and the life cycle assessment is important nowadays to keep the process sustainable.
The average conversion efficiency from feedstock to biochar is 30%, sir.
And the rest is, what about the rest part? Suppose you have taken 100 gram of your biomass feedstock, okay,
Yes, sir.
and you are getting 30 gram out of 100 gram. So the remaining part,
It's
where
like,
does
sir,
it go?
moisture content, ash content, volatile matter, etc.
No, in the process of biochar making, you are actually carrying out a pyrolysis process. Okay. So do you know what are the basic products of a pyrolysis process? If you perform the pyrolysis operation of a biomaterial, biomass or whatever, the solid product is biochar. What are the other products?
Sir, volatile matter, tar, and like some bio oils.
Yeah,
etc.
bio-oil is a liquid product and you can also get some gaseous product. Okay.
Gaseous product.
So did you estimate that part? What is the quality of the bio-oil that you are getting? Bio-oil is another important part of the pyrolysis process,
Yes, sir.
which is blended with fuels, okay, after upgradation.
Yes, sir.
So you have you estimated that part, how much you are getting out of 100 gram of feedstock? How much bio-oil?
No, sir. I have not estimated the bio oil.
The other byproducts. That's something you have to keep in mind in future.
Because that is a significant part, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
It cannot be just neglected, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor Chakravarti. I think that's very good advice for your future research. And once again, thank you, jury, for your presentation and your work.
Thank you, sir.
So I think we have the last paper now. Ajit, if you are ready, maybe you can unmute and share your presentation.
Yes, sir, I'm
PPT
ready.
and yeah.
I'm ready.
Please introduce yourself, share your PPT, and go ahead with your presentation. Yeah, go ahead. We can see your slides.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Ajitas, research scholar from the Central Coir Research Institute, Coir Board, Alapi. I am doing PhD under Cochin University of Science and Technology under the guidance of Dr. Das Anitha Ravindranath, former director, Central Coir Research Institute. And my topic is coir waste as a source of energy utilization through pyrolysis and its characterization. And about coir waste, these are a lignocellulosic material which are renewable, biodegradable, and has biocompatible characteristics. And lignin and cellulose are the major components present in coir fiber and also coir paste. and the lignin percentage varies between 20 to 49% as in literature. And coepith and bit fiber are lignocellulosic substrates that are obtained as byproducts from the during the extraction of fiber from coconut husk. And bit fiber is a part of fiber that is obtained as a waste during the leveling or surface leveling of coir mats. And the lignin cellulose and hemicellulose in coir pith is 42, 32, and 24% respectively, and that for coir fiber is 46, 39, and 2% respectively. And the introduction, the work aims at the simultaneous management of solid waste, that is coir waste. Even though it has many other applications, this application also may be an additive to that, and for its effective utilization for conversion into energy or fuel precursors. And even though these coir byproducts are biodegradable, the degradation will be very slow due to high percentage of lignin, which is a recalcitrant compound. And the utilization of these wastes in this manner will pave its a better application in terms of economic sustainability and clean technology. And it could be developed as a cost-effective green technology as a fuel precursor from the waste resource. This was a methodology adopted. Coepith or bit fiber waste was oven dried at 105 degrees Celsius for 2 hours to remove the moisture for maximal removal of moisture, and paralyzed at 350 degrees Celsius for under limited oxygen conditions to yield 3 major products: pyrolysis oil or bio oil, biochar, and non-condensable gases. And this is the schematic representation of the pyrolyzer that we have developed at CCRI Cairnboard, and it consists of 2 heating coils, a gas collector, an internal temperature reader, and a condenser assembly unit where we condense the gases into bio oil, and those which cannot be condensed can be taken out through the gas outlet. In the characterization, the 3 major products, bio oil, biochar, and non-condensable gases, bio has been characterized using CHNSO, FTR, and GCMS to obtain the calorific value in terms of higher heating value, empirical formula, functional groups, and then compound identification. And biochar has been characterized using CHNSO, FTR, and XRD. Calorific value, again, calorific value estimation of biochar in terms of higher heating value, empirical form, and functional groups. And non-condensable gases have been characterized using GCMS for the compound identification percentage. And coming to the yield, both the substrates on pyrolysis yields major products as biochar, as it is a low temperature pyrolysis, and 50% biochar from coepith and 44.4% from bit fiber. And bio-oil weight by weight percentage is 6.666% from coepith and 10.2% from bit fiber. Non-condensable gas is 43.4% and 45.4%. And the pH of bio-oil is highly acidic due to the presence of various compounds that have been formed during the degradation of lignin present in both the components. And the pH is around 3.5 to 3.4 for coepith and bit fiber respectively. Then physical properties of bio-oil, it was a dark brownish colored viscous liquid with a green tinge with unpleasant smoky aromatic flavor, and it is volatile at room temperature, leaving very small dark colored residue when the complete liquid portion gets vaporized. And the pH is highly acidic, as already explained. The density is around 1150 to 1200, and the carbon length, total number of carbons varied from 6 carbons to 18 for both the bio-oils, and higher heating value in megajoule per kilogram is 13.8 and 14.66 for bit fibers, and lower heating value is 11.66 for bit fiber. Coming to CHNSO, the carbon content was found to be very low, then sulfur was not detectable, and oxygen was very high. And the empirical formula of bit fiber bio-oil is CH1.3 and 0.0108, and the high heating value is 13.393, and for coepith it was 16.496. Theoretical calculation of high heating value has been calculated using the equation provided by Buckley in 1991 as provided in the equation. Then during the FTR characterization of biosamples, the major functional groups were identified as those belonging to OH stretching, that is for water, alcohols, and phenols, and aldehydes, carboxylic acids, ketones. Major functional groups were belonging to acids, ketones, and aldehyde groups, and methoxyl group, some phenol and other related compounds were also identified using FTR characterization. Then when I have done the GCMS, the major products obtained were 4-methoxyphenol, 2-methoxy 4-methyl phenol or creosol, and also methyl ester cyclohexane propanoic acid, and 2,6-dimethoxyphenol. The same compounds are also identified in GCMS coir-pit bio also, that is metacresol, 2-methoxyphenol, creosol, that is 2-methoxy, 4-methylphenol, and 2,6-dimethoxyphenol. Then coming to the conclusion for biooils, major compounds identified were produced due to the thermal cracking of lignin or cellulose in the biomass, and the major functional groups identified OH, C double bond or CO. These are aromatic functional groups, which shows that the biooil is composed of large percentage of oxygen and also very acidic. So it cannot be directly used as a fuel. It needs to be deoxygenated through some deoxygenation process before it can be taken for some applications. And the presence of hydrocarbon group CH and alcohols also indicate that it has the potential to be used as a fuel. Next one, characterization of biochar. Here also CHNOs has been utilized for characterization and for the calorific value. Here the carbon percentage was very high, from between 60 to 90%, that is 85% for beet fiber biochar and 68% for coir-pit biochar. Here also sulfur was not detectable, and the calorific value of beet fiber biochar is 28.37 megajoule per kilogram, and for coir-pit biochar is 20.49. As it has very high calorific value, it can be used for many applications. And then regarding the analysis, the nitrogen and sulfur content of both biochars are below detectable, and also sulfur was not at all detected. So even if we use it as a fuel source, we can say it to be an environment friendly or eco-friendly fuel source. And as indicated in the table, the higher heating value or calorific value of both the biochars are very high, and it may be equally that comparable to that of some coals, including lignite, as provided in the literature. And FTIR of biochars, major peaks obtained were from 1035, 750, 100, 1436 centimeter inverse, 1608, and peak at 1035 indicates the CO stretching of the oxygenated functional groups of lignin or methoxy groups of lignin, and it has been removed from the FTIR analysis of biochar because due to the degradation of cellulose and lignin compounds. And peaks at 750, 809 and 870 indicate the degree of carbonization, which has become strong, and 1436, the peak at 1436 shows that is present in raw substrates and shows the phenolic OH bending. And these are the some structures of biochar. It has a porous structure, and it has increased in the first image shows the biochar of coir-pit, and the second one shows the biochar.
Sir, as the time is very short, please try to conclude.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah, please conclude. Thank you.
Okay.
Your time is...
Okay, then characterization of non-conductible gases. It yields a colorless flammable gas with a characteristic odor. It contains oxides of carbon, alkanes, and hydrocarbons. Major compounds identified were aldehydes, ketones, and alkanes other than oxides of carbon. For methyl 1,3-pentadiene and methyl benzene were the major compounds obtained in beet fiber non-conductible gas, and methane benzene, methyl benzene, 3-methyl heptene, and all are obtained in coir-pit non-conductible gases. And these are benzene and compounds derived from benzene are the major composition present in non-conductible gases, and these are produced from the cracking of lignin present in both the substrate. And toluene has been used as fuel in combination with heptane, and 3-methyl heptane is an isomer to octane, which can be cracked to ethylene, acetylene, propylene, and isomers of butene. Coming to the conclusion, this pyrolysis is found to be an effective technique for conversion of agro-waste, especially coir waste, to various types of biofuels. Even the biochar can be utilized for electrode preparation, direct carbon fuel cells, or microbial fuel cells. So the non-conductible gases are also combustible, and various organic compounds can be easily cracked. That is, various isomers have been found, and it can be easily thermally cracked to various fuel precursors. And it is a renewable and eco-friendly form of energy source, devoid of sulfur and nitrogen content, and produced from a natural waste substrate, and is carbon efficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure Professor Chakravarti has some questions.
Yeah, actually the work is very exhaustive.
Yes.
And, he has covered almost all parts of the work.
Yes.
But my main question is that what is the main novelty in the work? What has been the significant part of the work which has given some edge over the existing state of the art?
So I have just started with this work, and I am.
No, have you compared? Basic thing is that, see, everybody, you see here, there are so many participants that presented on biochar and similar areas. Okay, they have performed, pyrolysis. Mostly, all of them are non-catalytic pyrolysis. But the thing is that ultimately the research should give some advantage. That is our objective, that our research should give some advantages over and above the existing state of the art. So, as a researcher, what is your final takeaway from the research? That is important.
Very good point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I have
From
just
that angle,
started
you
with
just
work.
explain what are your takeaway, what extra advantage one can get in your process, because there are so many people working in the same domain. But what is your main contribution?
Sir, I primarily focus on the utilization of biochar for electrode preparation, and this is an precursor for that work. And characterization of biochar has been done in that way towards the production of a electrode for direct carbon fuel cell.
No, that is the application part. The
Yes, sir,
part
yes.
part is that you have studied in very detail the method of pyrolysis, the characterization of the biochar, the characterization of the bio-oil, everything you have done. Even the gaseous part you have considered. Okay. So all the products part you have considered, you have characterized using different technologies like FTR, etc. So therefore, you have contributed, you have actually performed mostly on the production part of the biochar, bio-oil and other gaseous fuel from the starting material. Okay. So accordingly, what has been the main advantages of your work that will make the work beneficial at large? Because ultimately you are going to use it for, someone can use it for fertilizer purpose, someone can use it as adsorbent in different areas of application can be there. One can use as electrode, but you are talking about the process part. You have developed it. Okay.
Yes,
So what is the novelty? What is the novelty of your process that will make the significant process? Clear with the question?
Did you get the question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, really, I am aimed at the utilization of a waste resource towards some fuel precursors. That was the aim.
Yeah.
So I used one technology that is already existing towards development of different fuel precursors.
Okay.
So you have followed already established process. You are telling.
Yes, yes.
You have not changed any process parameters. You have followed previously reported process parameters.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I guess you'll be continuing your work and explore further to find how you can differentiate yourself from, like Professor Chakravarti said, from the state of the art, and find some new aspects to the products. So with this, I think unless there are other questions or comments, we'll bring today's the current session to close. Is Professor Ghosh there? Does he want to make any comments? And then maybe Professor Chakravarti to make some summarizing comments, and then we'll wrap up. Is Professor Ghosh like to share anything? If he's...
Sir, please wait for a few minutes, he's coming.
Okay, no problem. So in the meantime, maybe Professor Chakravarti, would you like to share some overall feedback on the whole session and the 6 papers that were presented? Yeah.
Yeah. The overall, I would like to say that the researchers have tried their best, but still, I feel that, as I have mentioned in my questions, that everyone means the researchers should think about the novelty, the advantage of that specific work they are carrying out. Okay. Unless that is specified or unless that is pointed out, then it will be difficult for them to get it published in a good journal. Okay. So since all of them are researchers, they are doing for their MTech or PhD works, so they should look for the highlighting the novelty, highlighting the innovative part of their works, and that will be very essential when they try to get it published in a good journal. That is my suggestion to the researcher or investigator. Okay, and also I think Professor Ghosh has already suggested for application of patent, but I think patent takes a lot of time. As I have personal experience in India, it takes a lot of time. But at least you should try to publish your work in a good journal, and you should make it clear that what are the major contribution of your work, which is over and above the state-of-the-art existing in the domain. That is my suggestion. In general.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Chakravarti. Professor Ghosh is with us, so maybe Professor Ghosh, would you like to say a few words on this session and the papers presented?
Yeah. So you have completed all the presentations.
Yes, we have.
That's great. Yeah, I have seen some of the presentations which are really very good quality.
Yes.
And I already suggested that go for patenting. And of course, what Professor Chakravarti and Professor Dhanada was advising that, look, today you can work at your laboratory, and if it is not known to anybody, then you are not doing anything. This is the way of life we are going through. So you work and you propagate yourself. And you know that blowing your own trumpet, sometimes it doesn't sound nice, but today is the day of blowing one's own trumpet. So you have to beat those things, otherwise people will not know. So the first thing is good research. Second thing, you go on publishing, and you know that patent and publication in the journal is tough. Patenting is toughest, one of the toughest tasks. I mean, one patent can be considered as 5, 6, 7 publication in different journals. Of course, not in very high level CF, but so in that way, go on publishing also in different conference proceedings, because conference gives you a very good networking. So conference is your first step of presenting yourself that you are doing this type of work, research, and go for proceedings publication, and keep some good thing for your journal publication. And of course, whenever you are educated enough, go for a patenting. But some of the work which I was observing here, you are doing good job. Whenever you think that this is really an excellent job which can come out after 3 years or 2 years, protect your research by application of a patent. At the stage of application of a patent, you are not to give all the things for the patenting. Okay, so these are the things which are very much necessary in the today's world. I am very happy with the presentations and the work which has been presented here. And of course, we have a very efficient leaders as chair and co-chair. Professor Dhanadakanta Mishra, you know that he is working in Hong Kong for quite a long time, and that is because of his excellence in his career. That's why he is put over here, there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and my friend Rajat, he has number of research activities in international research projects, and he is very recently taken over as the head of the chemical engineering department. He is a very excellent researcher in my university.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
Researchers. Yeah, thanks to chair and co-chair.
And for organizing nice workshop and this kind of international seminar
Conference, yeah.
which gives opportunity for young researchers around the globe. So,
And thanks to all the participants as well as the presenters for a very good presenting a very good session.
Yeah.
And I think that my secretariat will now request you to make your camera on so that we can see you and they will be able to take a good photo. Please, over to
Thank
Chairman.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ghosh. Like you requested, I request everybody to switch on their cameras for a group photo. And I thank everybody once again. All the speakers actually not only presented excellent research, but they kept to time and had well organized slides. Everybody used the technology very well. So there are a lot of good takeaways from this session. So we had 6 out of 10 papers that were scheduled to be presented were actually presented. 4 of them, I think, were on biochar and pyrolysis. 1 was on composite, which is my area of interest, and the other one also of my area of interest, which is the corrosion inhibitor of steel reinforcement. And so there was a wide variety of discussion and a lot of good questions and suggestions from Professor Chakravarti, which I'm sure will guide the young researchers further in their career. So I see that few have not switched on their cameras, but I guess we'll have to do with what
maybe
we got.
they have some problems, so no
Sure,
worries.
sure, no issue. So
But
thank
send
you
the
again.
feedback form. Send the feedback form. To
Yes,
take the
everybody send back the forms to get your certificates of participation. And once again, I like to thank Professor Ghosh for the wonderful organization, the secretarial help from Soria and others who are working tirelessly to make this a great success. Thank you, Professor Chakravarti, for your help being the co-chair. With that, I think we'll bring
Thank you,
this.
Mr. Dhanada,
Yes.
Kanta Vishwa. Thank you. You have nicely organized conducted the session and summarized
Thank
the
you
whole.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you again in the next session.
Next session from 6:15.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so should I leave now? This session?
Yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Professor
so much.
Chakravarti.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh.